Hello everyone, this is the 17th episode of G.GOES Live. It's Wednesday again, and I am very happy to welcome my really close friend DJ Bass, straight from LA. And we have so much to talk about tonight, from him being a very young DJ to him becoming someone as a role model now. In every course at Per-vurt, I always mention him to my students. You can do exactly something you like because this guy is an
Students,
example.
does he really do that? That is the question. Does he really do that? Students, comment below.
Yeah, they know that from Majam, by the way. Majam is also on the syllabus, and we always discuss the warm-up thing, and I give Majam as an example.
Yeah.
So, guys, this is DJ Bass.
I need to get on Majam's level and become on someone that's on the syllabus, but shout out to Majam. G-Mohris, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. By the way, DJ Bass started at a very, very, very early age, at age of 16 maybe. I remember he started here at Per-vurt. He came for a course, and after that he figured things out by himself, and now his name is linked with the top icons of the world. So he played alongside big names like 50 Cent, Akon, and the list goes on. We have so much to talk about. If you guys have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section, and in the next half of this episode I will ask Bass your questions. So how are you,
I'm great.
Basil?
I'm great.
How's everything?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I'm the first student to ever DJ here. I walked into Per-vurt, I was 17 years old, or 18 maybe. No, I was 17. I was definitely 17. Because I had just graduated high school, and I just walked in there because I saw some keyboards, and I asked what kind of store it was because I live close. And he said that he's building a studio downstairs and a DJ, and that's when I started becoming interested in DJing. And he said that he was offering a course, and I applied for it, of course, and I think I just started coming in here, and then we did like 1 or 2 courses, and then you'd give me just time. It was like a 10-phase course, and then you would just give me time to practice by myself.
Yes.
And sometimes, because he sits upstairs, so sometimes he used to forget that I was downstairs, and I would just go on for more than an hour. So if the audio's, we can just, might as well just do that.
The audio is too noisy. Yeah.
Here we go, straight to the iPhone. But yeah, I used to be in this room exactly. It was so much different. Now it looks crazy. But it was a DJ setup right here.
In the middle of the room.
Yeah, that was hanging from the ceiling, literally. And I would just be here with 2 CDJ 800s.
Yes, you still remember?
Yeah, I remember, because there were CDJ 800s and 700 mixer, the silver one.
Yeah, the old one.
Yeah, it was a silver mixer. And that's pretty much where I learned
It's okay.
to do it all. And from
that
there
was
on,
it. From there, and you started taking a step forward.
Yeah.
And I remember you joined the radio station.
Before that, yeah, I was when I started DJing here, I was practicing, and I remember I bought my first CDJs, which were CDJ 200s, and I brought them from the US. I had cousins that I had them like put them in their bag and fly them out here, and I remember they were 110 volts. Because in Lebanon everything's at 220, and I almost burnt one of them putting him in there. So I had to get the little trance, the thing that I would put in the wall and plug the CDJs into, and it always had a noise like zzz, like electricity noise. It was so annoying. I thought it was gonna blow up any second, but so I practiced, and I had some random mixer. I forgot what it was. I might have bought. I forgot. No clue. No idea. I bought it from one of the sound stores in Hamra, and that was like what I used to practice, and I was just like going hard. And I remember back then there was the CDs that were like the maxi
Maxis,
yeah, it was like the maxi hip hop CDs.
Remixes and stuff.
Yeah, it was like the remixes or like DJ intros, like 16 bars, 8 bars, and I'm like, and then I was like, okay, and I would practice on those. It was a good way to practice, and a beat match, how to do that. Because hip hop is not easy to beat match.
It's not easy,
it's not,
like house music, for example.
Yeah, house music is I'm sure it's hard as well, but it just has a similar rhythm. A lot of the songs have long intros. You have time to mix it. With hip hop's, like, some of the songs just start with the verses, and you really don't know how it starts. It doesn't give you like a timeline. It starts with a melody, no beat, like whatever it is. So with the maxi ones, it was like an easy way to start.
By that time, when you were practicing that much,
yeah, I
you
was
were ready
practicing.
for the radio station, or it happened? It happened.
It was a thing. It was a thing. I remember because our friends were Ronan and Nesta, if you remember, you know, and they were on Energy when Energy first started, and I would see them do their gigs, and we would just like all attend them because they were friends from like mutual friends from high school and stuff. And I was like, okay, shit, like I want to be on the radio, you know, like to hear my own name on the radio. And I just like worked hard with that. I worked with the guys. I worked with like a bunch of people, with Scarface, with a few people, to get to that point, and just like opening for them and helping out however much. And I was ready, you know. It's like you practice at home and you're ready to open. And I had the knowledge of the music because I was a fan of hip hop and all that stuff. And when the time came, and I got the call from the radio station, I remember it was from Tariq Majdalain. He was one of my best friends, and he's also known as Rootbox, part of Three Machines, so one of the best producers in the country, him and Slayman. But he was the one that called me and asked me to come and party and do a party for one of the parties for the radio station. And I remember I was at AUB at Jaffe, which was the library, and I had an exam the next day because it was Friday night. And I was so scared that I was going to fail, so I called them and I told them that I really won't be able to make it because I have an exam the next day. And then when I hung up, I was so scared that I was like, fuck, did I just miss my opportunity? But sure enough, he called me the next day, and he was, I checked in. I was like, how was the party? How's everything? And I would love to still be able to work with you guys. And he's like, yeah, for sure, come through the radio station. And I came up there to Energy, and I met with him and with Claude, who's still the program director, the big boss. And they pretty much, you know, listened to my mixes and what I did. And maybe a couple weeks later, they offered me a slot on the radio. You know,
and you were too young.
Yeah, I was barely 18. I was actually 18 already. And when they did that, it was life-changing, you know, to hear your name on the radio Friday night. So I had like the whole family sit in the living room and listen to the radio show. It was really exciting. It still is exciting. Whenever you hear your name on the radio, every once in a while, you're like, whoa.
So your show is still till now? It's still the same show?
It's still till now. Every Friday night on Energy. It's been over 8 years.
Nice.
Yeah, so I kept it consistent. You know, it's like it's where I started. You know, I would never want to let that go because why would you? You know, it's just like it gives you that weekly show that people wait for and expect, and people always message me to see if, you know, I could give them like the link to listen to it, and there's different ways I upload it. So yeah, ever since then, that was it. 2 weeks later, Claude calls me and he's like, we have Akon coming to Lebanon, and that was the first concert Akon did, and he was like, you're gonna open for him.
And that was the second time you are on stage.
Yeah, maybe even first time on a stage
in front
ever.
Of a big crowd.
Yeah, in front of a big crowd, not in front of in a small club or something. And he put me on stage to open for Akon, you know, and that was like 12,000 people in Biel. I was like prepared. I was playing all that stuff, and I remember the light was shining on me, so I couldn't see anyone. And I was just playing, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like, I got this.
But you were frightened at that.
Of course, I was terrified, and but I couldn't see anyone, so it was like a little easier for me. And then at a certain point in the night, I was like, you know, playing more up-tempo stuff, and that's when they shined the light on the crowd, and I saw it all of a sudden, and then I just froze in my place, you know. But at that point, you know, it's like when you're ready to do that, it's like you don't even feel it. It's like out-of-body experience, and you're just going. Cause it's like, what am I gonna do? Get off stage?
That was one huge experience for someone new to go on stage.
Yeah, of course.
And be subject to all this.
Yeah, of course.
Big amount of people.
Especially that it was one of the first hip hop concerts in the country. You know, we didn't have hip hop.
Yeah,
people
we didn't
come.
have that.
We had Masari came at some point. We had 50 Cent come at some point. But it was like every 2 years you would have one act, and it was like the biggest deal. So when Akon came, it was the biggest deal. He was the hottest artist in the country, maybe in the world. And then he came, and I was the one that opened for him, and I met him backstage, and then we went to do the after party at some club in Beirut. And then after that night, I had a few club owners come to me and were like, yo, we want we want to do a hip hop night.
So this is when you started getting more opportunities.
Yeah.
You
That was
meeting
like
more promoters and stuff.
hip hop night wasn't a thing. You know, no one listened to hip hop in Lebanon. It wasn't a thing. There was like a few parties here and there, but it was like really associated with like underground and not as cool, not as classy, whatever. I didn't go to them because I was too young, you know. But
so you were the youngest to bring this back.
Yeah, pretty much.
You were called the youngest DJ.
Yeah,
who...
in Time Out, it was featured as the youngest to bring it back. But it was true because, you know, it was like hip hop nights were not a thing. Wednesday nights, you know, who went out on Wednesday nights?
I remember that Wednesday nights.
Yeah, so it was like the thing. I started at Palais. We started that with Lethal Skills. Shout out to him. He's the OG. And,
he's also a tutor as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Lethal Skills taught me how to use turntables. I used to go to his house, and he would teach me how to scratch.
He's coming soon.
Yeah, he used to teach me how to scratch, and that's like how I learned, you know, the chirps and like all the basic stuff, and just like put my hand on the first turntables, and like, you know, you had the dot on there so you can like.
Yeah. He has his ways.
Yeah, of course. He was like the only DJ that would playing turntables and knew how to do that. You know, he had a real hip hop background. So when I was doing that, we were doing the stuff at Palais, and then I got introduced to DJ Jojo, who was also one of the hottest DJs in the country at that point. And he had a club called Chocolate that had just opened. And he was like, you should come to Chocolate and we should try out the hip hop stuff, you know, because if everyone likes it, let's try it out. Fridays or Saturdays, and we'd play for like 15 minutes, you know, I'll give you. And I was ready, and I would just go on Fridays or Saturdays to Chocolate, and they would give me those 15 minutes at like the peak time, and I would just go hard and just play all the hits. And then he would notice that the club mood, the whole mood would change, and it was just like everyone would just stand up. It was like at the time of the night, it was special. Around then, he was like, summer's coming, and
there was the Sky Bar.
And he's like, you should come with me to Sky Bar. And I was like, you know, like it was a big deal. Like 2009, Sky Bar was the biggest club in Lebanon. It was like the peak. I was 19. We've always heard of Sky Bar. I tried to go in once. They wouldn't let me in. You know, it's like none of my.
And now you're the DJ there.
Yeah, but at that point, and then I was like, yeah, of course. So I went in there. They tested me out. You know, certain nights they would let me play. Certain nights they would like. I would wait to play and they won't let me play. It was like a lot of disappointments, but I was just grateful to be in there, you know, just even be inside the place. And then they started giving me like 15, 20 minutes at Sky Bar to play. And then people started loving it more and more, and I would just get 2 slots of 15, you know, and at that point it was like 30 minutes, you know, and like a year later we'd come back, it was like 45 minutes, and it started becoming like the peak of the night, you know, at like 1:20. Everyone would expect the hip hop, and then we just shut the music off, and it was just like the place goes dark, and then we just go in, and it was just like give people that feeling, you know. I wanted to make sure that if I go on for 20 minutes, I want to make sure you remember who I am, you know, and that's what I did. And while doing that, I was in EB at the same time, and I was studying economics. 2009, 2010 was my last year. I graduated in 2010. I was 20 years old, and I was like, I want to go back to Sky Bar. I want to make sure I graduate. I don't want to take summer courses so I can go back to Sky Bar. I was doing Sky Bar, and then a lot of people started knowing me from that, from the radio.
And you played many gigs.
Yeah, and I was doing
events.
pretty much every hip-hop party in the city. In summer, I would have like 4 parties a night.
Also with bookings.
Yeah, the different bookings. So I would do, let's say, Chocolate Wednesdays, and then I would do somewhere else, and then I would do a prom on Thursday, and then I would do somewhere else on Friday, and then meanwhile I would be doing Sky Bar every single night while doing.
And you were also sharing decks with the guys coming.
Yeah,
from
whenever
abroad.
it was like opening, it was like pretty much doing it all, you know. And that was before like there was a few hip hop DJs that were doing it, and just like, you know, saturating the market, trying to be in front of everyone, trying to be in everyone's faces. So we did that. Sky Bar was going great, and that was the phase when I was like starting to try to figure out what I want to do in life. You know, I turned 21. And
yeah, that like, period of time when you're
when you're 20, 21, trying to figure it out. You graduated college, and then you're trying to see like where do you fit in life, you know. And I have an economics degree, but I didn't want to work in it, you know. And I thought that I knew that music was going to be something for life. I wanted to do music for the rest of my life. But I also didn't want to just DJ. I wanted to do more. I wanted to work in music. I didn't want to have a job and then go DJ. There's nothing wrong with that, but I was just so passionate.
You wanted to have it as a career.
Yeah, I was so passionate about the music side of it that I wanted to do it at all times. So 2011 came, and I was still doing all the parties. I was like working here and there. And then that was the last year we were at Sky Bar, and there was certain changes started happening. You know, certain DJs started coming in. It became like a big lineup, you know, and it was like JoJo, Mad Jam, felt like a bunch of people, and we were there. And I was like, one night I was like, this is great, this is amazing, you know, but it's like I want to do more, and I've been doing this, and it feels like repetitive, even though you're 21 and you're at Skybar and all your friends are there, but you still feel like, okay, cool, like what can I do more than go up and play that 30-minute set of like pretty much similar music that you've played, you know? So I'm not gonna say it's the same music, because I always try to change it, but like in Lebanon people tend to like
certain, yeah, exactly.
like stuff that they already know, you know. And even though I was taking a lot of risk, and I was the only person that was pretty much go on a hip hop set and play the Backstreet Boys, you know. And there was a certain points where Shafiq, who's like the owner of Skybar, would hear a song and he would turn around, he would have a glass in his hand, he was almost throw it at me because he's like, what the hell are you playing, you know? But it worked. And then when it works and he sees that it works, he's like, holy shit, I want this every night, you know? But it's like, that's what it's about. I was like, we need to be pushing the envelope, otherwise what's the point? Like, I'm gonna sound just like the other guy, you know? So we're always taking risk, always trying to educate people, doing the same on the radio, just like playing all the new hip-hop, because that's our job, right? You know, it's just like going and finding new music, going to record shops, from Per-vurt to Beatbox to whoever, and like downloading stuff as much as possible, because the internet was so bad at that point. You know, so we're trying to do the best we can.
This is when you started thinking of moving.
Yeah, and that's when I was like, I've always wanted to go to the States. I was born in the States. I was lucky to have an American passport, and I was like, I need to go to where the real action is. You know, I've always had a love for New York, because I felt like the hip-hop scene, the music scene, you know, I loved, that was the phase when 50 Cent was the hottest, you know, Jay-Z, all that stuff. So I was like, I need to go there. And then a friend of mine used to always tell me, you should go to LA, you should go to LA, you should go to LA. In summer of 2011, we did a concert, Energy Music Tour. It was like one of the biggest concerts in summer. And I remember there was this artist called Ayaz that was there, and I met him, and I met his manager Steve Lobel, who's still a great friend of mine. And I met Steve, and I just like linked up with him, and he was like, yeah, I'm in LA. He's from New York. He's like, I'm in LA, you should come to LA one day. And that started just like making me think, you know. I even gave him like a beat CD, I don't know if you heard it, whatever. And I started thinking, and then there was a concert that this artist Man was in. He was like, he had the big song Buzzin', and he was there, and I met him through my friend who worked at Mix FM, because she was taking care of him. And then she pretty much invited me to come meet them when they were having dinner, because he was performing at Skybar the rest of the night. So I went and like met them over dinner. When they came to Skybar, he was performing. Then we were just like taking shots, like chilling. And he was like, I was like, what are you doing tomorrow? He's like, I have a free day. I said, let me take you out, let me show you around. So I took him to Jaita, you know, because they wanted to see the caves. They had heard about the caves. So I took him to Jaita, and then we were just hanging out all day, you know, took him back to the hotel, they were chilling. And then he was like, yeah, just take my number, whatever. In December, he comes back again for some other gig, and I went and met up with him at the hotel, and I told him, I was like, yo, I'm moving to LA. You know, they're like, what, you're really moving? I was like, yeah, I'm moving next month. He's like, you should call me when you land. And that's exactly what I did. I moved January 11, 2012. 2 days later, I called them, I was like, yo, I'm here. You know, they thought I was joking or something. I was actually moving. And they were like, okay, cool, yeah, we have a music video with T-Pain. They had a song, he had a song with T-Pain. You should come. And I was like, can I bring my camera? Because I had a camera, and I was always like, loved photography, you know, I always shoot. He's like, yeah, of course. So I was in the camera, like sitting in the music video. It was like overwhelming for me, like music video, T-Pain, man, like a bunch of people just doing cameos.
That's when it started.
Yeah, that's when my first week there.
With your camera.
Yeah, with my camera, I was standing there, and there was like all
that's
these
like
lights.
The beginning of a new career for you.
Yeah, it was like all these lights and stuff, and then I was like shooting and taking pictures and like trying to like be a fly on the wall. And then I met these guys who were doing behind the scenes too. They were from a group called Ski TV. It was like a big YouTube channel, and they were like, yo, what do you do? And I was like, I'm from Lebanon, I just moved here like 2 weeks ago, you know. It's like barely know what's going on. And they're like, you wanna come intern for us? I was like, yeah, of course. Like, what do you guys do even? I didn't know, I just wanted to do something, you know. And I was already like taking like a little music production class, but it was really nothing serious. And he was like, yeah, we work with this guy DJ Ski, and I was like, yeah, I've heard of DJ Ski. You know, DJ Ski was Games DJ. He was really big in the mixtape world, and I was really familiar with the name. You know, just like listening to mixtapes and doing all that. He's like, yeah, that's his production company, and you should come meet him. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. You know, it was just like, went there the next day. They were showing me around. I met DJ Ski. He was sitting there, and I was like, this is so cool. It was like a big compound, like people running in and out, people taking pictures, people DJing in the corner, you know, just some real LA stuff. And I was like, yeah, yo, like I would love to intern here because I had nothing else to do, you know. I was like, I'll come sit here instead of sitting at home. And then like, yeah, you should come through. And so I started like carrying the camera and coming in, and they would take me with them to like behind the scenes, and they were like, okay, shoot. So I would just stand there and just like, okay, cool. And I just shoot there and then go edit it, and like we make a small video.
And this is when you met more people in
and then I started going to like bigger music videos. Like I remember I met Kendrick Lamar in 2012 in February, and my brother was with me. He was visiting me from Lebanon, and we were there, and we had no idea who Kendrick Lamar was. It was 2012. He still didn't have his album out. He was hot in LA, but he wasn't like that big of a deal overseas. And we were there, and I was like, The Game was there, and I was like, oh shit, it's The Game, you know. And Kendrick Lamar was next to me, and like we didn't even look at him or talk to him because we had no idea, you know. It's like, you come from Lebanon, you don't know who Kendrick Lamar, you don't have internet, you know. It's just like you barely know what's going on. People listen to 50 Cent, they listen to Eminem, that's about it, you know. And so I was like starting to get familiar with LA artists and how it was going down. And then DJ Ski noticed that I knew how to do radio because I was doing like a radio in Lebanon. He's like, oh, you do radio? He's like, you should come help me with my radio. So, and the guy from the radio department was like, he's like, just leave the camera and come help me. He's like, you're better off with me. And they were like fighting over me, you know, because they needed like help. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool, I can do both. And then I started going into the radio side and just like pretty much just like editing his radio shows, you know, putting in interviews here and there and just cutting it up. And I was familiar with it because I'm a DJ, and you know, it's like I do my own radio show, so I know how it is. Started doing that, and then he slowly was trying to get away from doing the daily radio stuff and going more into the tech side of stuff and the business side of stuff. And he was like, yeah, you should just be the DJ, you know, you should do the mixes instead, you know, because I don't have much time. And I started doing the mixes, and then he would do like the voice drops, and then I started putting it all together. And next thing you know, I was pretty much running all the radio shit and DJing it myself. And then they started putting my name on the radio, all that in the first year, you know. And I was like going live in all of America, you know, on Kiss FM and on Sirius XM, which is satellite radio on Hip Hop Nation, every Thursday night, show called Live from LA. And it was just like so many listeners. We play all the new hip hop, and then we play all the new stuff that would barely come out. And our friends that would be sitting there, they would be tweeting like, now playing. I even had like a thing ready where it's like the tweets are ready, like now playing new Kendrick Lamar, whatever, right, that had just come out, just so people know that you're playing their stuff. And they would retweet it here and there, and then people start seeing like, oh shit, like, you know, this show, they're playing new stuff, they're breaking new hip hop. People starting to hit us up like, yo, how can I get my song here? How can I get this? And you start getting a little more respect and recognition, you know, even though for a lot of people they're like, who the fuck is this? You know, I'm sorry, I'm cursing, but like, who's that guy that just came out of nowhere? You know, he's been here for like 7 months. He's already on the radio, breaking new records. Obviously, it's thanks to DJ Ski, because at the end of the day, it's his radio show. But he was giving me the green light and trusting me and playing whatever I want, because we were in touch with stuff. You know, we were looking up stuff, researching, and we had good taste. So that's how we started getting a little bit more recognition, and then people would hit me up for like hosting mixtapes and doing here and that. So I started doing more mixtapes and hosting stuff and putting stuff together and just getting my name out there, and that's how it opened a lot of doors. You know, we hosted mixtapes for The Game, for a lot of West Coast people, and then I started putting out my own mixtape series called it West XL, pretty much just like breaking all new artists. So pretty much anything creative that I could be doing, and I was just like doing that and just like, you know, knocking on doors.
Yeah, this is when you had more connections with a lot of other artists.
Yeah, we started, you know, coming in, you know, obviously through Ski, through a bunch of people, through Steve, through different people, and we just like go in and just meet these people, even though they would be like, who's this guy, you know, he was like taking pictures last week and now he's like the DJ, you know. It's just like, it was hard to define that, but it's like I knew how to do a lot of stuff and I just did it, you know. And it was hard to explain it because you're foreign and you have a camera and then you're DJing and then you're producing and then you're like doing it all. So it's like it's expected, you know, for people to have that confusion.
And then you managed more than 50 shows?
Yeah, so we got to the point where, you know, Ski was a visionary really in like the tech world. He really saw the future of radio and how it was going to unfold. And he always believed that FM radio is going to die soon, you know, and it's true. I mean, FM is still like very much alive, but it's gotten to the point where with technology, you know, you have your
all
phone, everything, your Bluetooth's connected to your car, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, you know, it's just like all that stuff, everything's going to be digital. And he was like, we need to do a digital platform, you know, FM's going to be done. You know, people don't listen to radio, antennas, they play the same music, they play a lot of commercials and all that stuff. Same shit, same music. Radios, same shit all the time. But so he was like, we should do our own radio station, you know, why are we working for someone else? And we're like, yeah, let's do it. And he said, we're going to do 50 radio stations. I was like, 50?
50 at once?
Yeah. I was like, 50? I was like, you and what army? You know, it was like, at first I was like, what are we doing? There were like 4 of us. And he's like, yeah, we're going to do it, or you're going to do it, you know? It's like, you're going to do it, and we're going to have like hip-hop, rock and roll, pretty much like all genres, kind of do it how satellite radio was. And we're like, okay, you're crazy, but I mean, that's how everyone that does it is like crazy. And it's just like, that's just like a test, let's go. And we started doing that. We were like in a bunker forever doing that, and not in a bunker, but like in a studio underground. And we were just like working and building radio station. We were building code. I was learning stuff that I never thought I would do, like code, and like, you know, it's like we barely have YouTube in Lebanon at that time. We're like, the YouTube barely loaded like a full video, and I was here doing code and coding radio stations and like building apps and doing all that stuff. And then the team started growing, and we pretty much had like 50 radio stations at first that I was managing, most of them on a daily basis, you know, that required my attention. I was overseeing the hip-hop stuff, but overseeing the EDM stuff, the rock and roll stuff, the decades, like the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, the jazz. So I was learning about a lot of music as I go, you know. I was helping the guy that was building the Frank Sinatra station, you know, and I was helping him on the technical side while he gives me like all the Frank Sinatra music because he's a fan of that. And while I do that, I would just listen and know songs, and I'd be like, wow, this is like opening my mind to a whole new world, like genres of music I never thought I would listen to, you know. And just it's not like just like hip hop. It's even going in deep into hip hop, like old school hip hop. You know, we were working with people like the Beat Junkies, who were like legends in like turntablism and just like legendary DJs, you know. And they were like playing all the old cuts and the break beats and all the stuff that you're like, wow, like there's so much out there that I didn't know, you know. And for someone coming from Lebanon, my parents are not in music, my friends are not in music, the friends that are in music listen to like techno and like are people I grew up with, like going to places, but none of them was like someone like that knows, okay, this came from this sample that came, like no nerds, you know. And I was a nerd, and I was like, whoa, like I'm learning so much. So it was like a journey trying to teach myself all that, you know. It's like people that grew up in the US, they grew up to Biggie and Tupac and, you know, Run DMC. It was like NWA, all that stuff. I didn't, you know. I grew up to Eminem and 50 Cent, and that was the era, and that was what I was getting fed, you know, in Lebanon. So I had to really teach myself.
But that gave you more energy to get into production as well.
Yeah, of course. So you were learning it, and I was always in music. I used to play the guitar in Lebanon. I used to go take classes at Shaheen, which is like in Clemenceau, you know, every single week. So I've always had a musical background. And I was like learning so much and listening to so much stuff. Even like an African station I would do, you know, and there's like a Latin station I would do. So stuff I can't even understand, but I just understood the music. And so we did that, and I was like really getting back into production, just working with some friends here in Lebanon, you know, just working over internet. Ableton, got into Ableton, started doing that really at first just to make edits. But then I was like, wait, I have a taste in this music, and I could do this and I can do that. Until I got to the point where I was doing radio all day from like 9 to 7 p.m. And then I'll go in the studio from 8 p.m. to like 2, 3 a.m. And I would just go crash and come back. And the radio was picking up fast. I was, you know, running a lot of partner stations from Snoop Dogg. He had his radio station called Cadillac Music that we pretty much built for him. And I was running... And then it went into different partnerships, from Tyler, the Creator, to Kylie Jenner, to just different rappers from Tech Nine, Strange Music, Monster Cat, the label, just like all these pop-up stations, just like a ton of partners that would come in. We're like, I want my radio station, and I want it to sound like this, like this, like that. And I was the one that's like, okay, let me build it for you, you know. And then we built that relationship, and it just opened the door for us to have that into that world. Until up until like April, when I like, you know, started realizing that, you know, the production was getting serious, and I needed to take it serious. And just like anything else, like if you really want it to get done, you're gonna have to give it your full time and potential. And that's when I realized that I did what I had to do in radio, and I learned a lot, you know, and I met so many people. But really being on the more creative side was what I moved here for. So I stepped away from radio. I stepped down from my daily task. You know, obviously have an amazing relationship still with them, but like I'm not at the office anymore. I don't do the radio stuff anymore, and now I'm just solely focused on production, music,
And
DJing.
you launched your label?
Yeah, and we launched a label called Overground end of
With
last
OH?
year. OH, yeah. So Overground is the label. It's still like in the baby stages right now. It's coming soon. We have a couple artists that we're working with. I'm working with an artist called Rami. He's in LA right now. He's Lebanese as well. He's one of my best friends and amazing producer. Genio as well. They're amazing producers. There's a lot of talent that's coming out of Lebanon. And recently my trips here have been really just to like explore that talent and see who's out there that's really making noise. And
Yeah,
good
so
noise.
guys, if you have something for DJ Bass, you
Yeah,
can
of course.
send.
That's why I was asking, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is amazing what you've done here, you know, so it's like anyone that comes through here and it's just like would love to hear what's coming out, because at the end of the day, no one really gave us a shot, you know. Coming from Lebanon, it's hard. And it's not hard, I'm not going to sit and cry about it, you know, but it's definitely challenging. It's harder than if you had started in the US. But that also gives us like a special feel that we're such a small community. You know, people here just need to help each other more and just like learn about each other more. And you were telling me about all these producers that I had no idea were producing, you know, and I was like, wow, like why don't I hear their stuff, you know, and vice versa. So hopefully,
Yeah.
this year just gonna be focusing more on that, focusing more on developing talent, and just working with some of the best people in the industry right now. You know, from the guys at Twice as Nice, you know, Nick. He's from Australia. He's like a mentor to me. You know, they produced some of the biggest records, and we're involved in some of the, you know, played instrumental parts in some of the biggest records in the world. And just being around the right people, you know, because being around the right people is what's gonna make you better, you know, and it's what's gonna push you forward and just
Give
like
you more opportunities.
yeah, and give you more opportunities, but also challenge you to be better, because you're seeing people that are doing it at the highest level, and that's just only gonna make you wanna push harder and be like, do I want to be the greatest or not, you know? And it's just like you want to be around greatness, and that's how it's going to push your greatness to come out, because if you're around people that are not doing anything, you're not going to be doing anything, you know?
You know, Bass, so many people, especially on the show, I always receive questions from those young, I mean the young generation nowadays. They come, they learn, and they reach a point when they really ask, okay, now what?
Yeah.
How can I be famous? How can I play in front of a crowd? How can I get into radio station, etc.? So you guys, so many questions, same question I always receive. This is a perfect example. Bass started very young. He was very young. He took a course and he got his machines. He was jamming, and then he got into radio station. From the radio station, he played alongside all the top top artists like Akon, 50 Cent, and the list goes on. And then he moved to LA. He started managing radio stations, and his name is linked now with everybody in the industry. And of course, now he moved into having his own label, signing artists, and more to come. So you can do it, yes.
There's a lot more names that I have to be linked with, you know? There's still a lot of work to be done. I think what we've done is good. I'm always a little too harsh on myself, but we've definitely done a good job. There's a lot more work to be done, and the higher you go, the more difficult it is, because then you're, you know, it's like you're in the jungle. You know, it's the jungle at the end of the day. So the deeper you go in the jungle, the harsher the animals are gonna be. The harsher
I got you.
You know, the harsher the weather is gonna be. All the conditions are gonna be like next level. So that's where you just have to get better, you know.
Yeah.
But if you made it that far, it means like you can push that far. You just like never give up in doing it, and then you start getting linked with bigger names, and then those names will start getting linked with you, and they're going to want to talk about you. So
really seriously, you guys, this is a perfect bass is a perfect example. If you have a dream, if you have a vision, and you are up for it, you can of course do it. So back to the you being a DJ. What do you use? Do you use laptop software or Pioneer players?
So when I started, I was using CDs. Obviously, you had the 800s here, and I had the 200s at home. So CDs was the only thing. I had a CD bag that I would carry everywhere, just like everyone else, right? It was just like you sit there and just like look through them. And I miss those days because it's cool, because I would really spend a lot of time making those CDs, you know? It's like I made those CDs. It wasn't
the
CDs
covers and stuff.
Yeah.
You compiled them.
Yeah, because even when I buy compiled CDs, I would still dump them into iTunes and make my own CDs.
Stop.
And then put them in there because I would know exactly what I want. Because a lot of those came with a lot of bullshit. So I just had to like take out the stuff that are not hits or whatever.
And now you're using Rekordbox?
I'm not using Rekordbox, but I put those CDs in there, and then I would burn the CD. And then I remember, because sometimes you would only have 4 tracks, and you're like, I don't want to ruin the CD for 4 tracks, right? So I would like wait till I have more tracks and put them on a CD. And then I would go on Excel, and I would write every name.
Yeah, that's very important to be organized.
Yeah, there was a software that made CD covers. What was it called? The one that burned CDs.
And Nero.
No, not Nero. One of them, whatever. I would put it in Excel, and I would like print it, and I would also try to print at least like 4 on one page, and then I would cut it and put it in the CD sleeve, and I would know this is mine. Because once you take the time to actually make those CDs and burn it, and then go on Excel and write every track, believe me, it's gonna be stuck in your head, and you're gonna know what every song is on the CD because you made it. So it's like when you're in the club and you're going crazy, you know, and it's just like, especially in hip hop, because transitions are really quick.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like in EDM where it's like you can let the song go for like 5 minutes and it comes down and up and just drops and break and drop and break. It's like verse, hook, next, you know? So you'd be fast and you just pick it and you know exactly.
Even the CD takes some time to load. And
yeah, and it takes time to load. Sometimes the CD scratch, it just like fuck up, and it'll just like, but that's what makes you better at what you do. And I remember it was like a funny story. When we used to be at Skybar, it was so humid and hot that the CD paper would become wet, and so wet to the point where I would pull the CD out and then the whole paper would come out on the CD, and it was like, you know, it was like a whole thing. I would have to like sit and clean it and then put the CD in, and then the paper's gone, and I don't know what's...
You don't know what's inside.
Yeah, what track is what. And then we started putting the ID tag on the CD so it shows on the thing. So that happened, and then the 2000s were the USB or the 1000s?
The 2000s.
2000. Because I had the 1000. The 2000s was when the USB came in, and we're like, whoa, you know, I was like, USBs, what? So that was before Rekordbox. So we'll start putting stuff on the USBs. And then last year, or last 2 years, I think last year of Skybar, I had a USB, and I would just do that, and we just go in. I still had my CDs, you know. And I remember I had one CD that had samples on it that was like the horn, the gunshot, a DJ bass sample, and I would, whenever there was a third machine, I would put it on there, and I would hit the horn with the cue, dun, 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 you know? It was like, it was cool. So I started doing that, and then I was like on a USB. By the time I moved, I was like, okay, cool, USB, amazing. I was like fixing my files and doing all that, and I had like 1 billion USBs at home. And then I moved to America, and then I noticed that everyone used Serato. Serato, which is like a DJ software that you link to your turntables from your life. I was like, damn, everyone uses it. And I was like DJing on the radio. On the radio, you also have to be quick, and you also I need like an instrumental right now, you know, because someone needs to talk, a talk break. You need this, I need sound effect. And I was like, okay, shit, I need to move to Serato.
Yeah.
Because in LA, believe it or not, they didn't have 2000s. You know, it wasn't a thing. They had the 1000s, and they had turntables, like the vinyls.
So now you can link them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was like, damn, like, I can't even use my USBs if I wanted to, you know? Because over here in Lebanon, like, we're always advanced, like, musically. So all the clubs have 2000s. We had, like, all the new mixers, everything. Over there, like, they didn't really care, you know? It wasn't a thing.
Just vinyl and 1000.
Yeah. So I had to download Serato, and I put it on there, and then you had to, like, organize your crates. And I remember the first time I went live on the radio in America to the entire country was the first time I ever used Serato. So I was taking that risk of learning Serato as I was live on the radio for the entire United States. You know, but I mean, that was the risk I had to take. Maybe I should have practiced it like an hour before, but that's just how I am. But so I was doing that, and I was organizing the songs while I was on the radio, and just like, oh, let me play this, and I was like playing it very safe. I was like, oh my god, holy shit, because it was like turntables too, and I was like, I'm not gonna scratch, I'm just gonna like try to beat match, you know. So up till now, I still use Serato. It's like the most convenient way of doing it, because you can have so many songs. You don't have to, like, if you want to download something in the club, you can do it and then play it in like 2 seconds later. A lot of people come up to you at the club and be like, yo, play my song, especially in LA, so you would need to have something. Or let's say an artist comes in and you want to play their song. Most probably you'll have it if they're imported. If not, you'll have to figure that out. So Serato is still convenient. For the radio, it's convenient.
Do you always link them to controllers or any controller at the club, or the vinyl? Do you use the vinyl players at the club?
I try not to use the vinyl. I know how to use the vinyls. I try not to.
It's much easier to use.
It's much easier, yeah. It's just like, I understand vinyl is amazing, and it's like, it shows your skill, and I can show anyone my skill on the vinyl. I'm not a super scratcher, but I know how to use vinyls, and I can scratch, you know. But it's like, you always have that issue of the needle at the club, and you know, sometimes they put the
bass,
they put the monitor under the table, and then the needle jumps, and then skipping. It's embarrassing. You know, I mean, why? You know, just like go in.
You have technology.
Yeah, use the CDJs. A lot of them now have 2000s, so the USBs are coming back over there, or they are coming in because they never left. You know, so I still use USBs, and when I come to Lebanon, no one has Serato. So I have to do the whole thing.
You have to have two setups.
Yeah, I have to have 2 setups. So I use USBs when I come to Lebanon. And it's super easy. The only thing is that I'm used to looking at stuff on the laptop and seeing all the songs. You know, it's not about looking at the waveform, because I don't need waveform. Because I learned on I learned on CDs. So I know really how to beat match. I don't have to look at anything. I can beat match with my eyes closed, you know, because it's like when you learn that, you learn that. I don't even need to see the BPM on the screen. So I'm just used to seeing the songs, and then when you see the songs, you're like, oh, this one, let me play this one, and then you load it. On the USB, it's like, if it's not named how you want to see it or whatever, I guess it's just a habit. That's all it is. Yeah. But USB, I love USBs. It's so convenient. It's
but
like
do you usually prepare your playlist, or you just prepare the songs that you want to play and you choose on the spot?
Yeah, you have to choose on the spot. You can't. I don't think you can ever prepare unless you have like 20-minute set and you know exactly what you're gonna play. But still, it's like, anywhere you go, it's not guaranteed what you want. Even like big festivals, like some of the biggest DJ in the world that I've seen do the thing, from DJ Snake to whoever, it's like you see them prepare to a certain extent, but then when you watch them play, they know how to read the crowd so well, and they know what works, what doesn't, and they'll just modify it. But like, they'll have an outline of what they want to play. Same with me. It's like,
do you edit music? When you, for example, if you have a track with no intro, do you go and edit? Like,
sometimes
add an intro to it, make it a maxi.
yeah. Not make it intro, because I don't think the intro is an issue. But what I do sometimes is like, I'll cut a song at a certain point, and then have a drop from another song come in, you know. Or like, there's certain remixes of certain songs. Like I was doing the "Let Me Love You" one, the Snake and Bieber one, and there was like one of the remixes that had a really cool intro. You know, and it just like starts different. It starts longer, and I was like, "Whoa, that would be sick to play," because people don't expect that. They don't know what song it is, and then it slowly comes into "Let Me Love You," and then you're like, and then people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, it comes in." So you do those things a little here and there, because that's what's gonna make you different. You know, the stuff you
use
play.
Ableton for that.
I use Ableton for that. There was a software that we used to use in the radio. It's called Sony Vegas, and it's only for Windows. That's the thing that sucks about it. But I was the fastest one in the world on Sony Vegas. Like, no one can see me on Sony Vegas. It's just on Windows, and I have a Mac. Unless you want to put in like Boot Camp, which I did, or Parallels, and then go and edit it. But I just like rather use it. It's so convenient. They need to do it on Mac, dude.
Yes, they should. It's
yeah,
Sony
but
Vegas.
for now, it's Ableton. Just makes it easier. Only thing about Ableton is that it bounces its wave, and you have to like switch them out. It depends how much space you have on the USB, or you know, if you want to play waves or MP3s or whatever. But definitely make a few edits. Not to make it maxi, not to make it easier to mix, more to just make it more tasteful and make it.
Maybe you do some
different.
mashups or
certain mashups, yeah. for sure. Certain mashups, not the typical mashups that you hear where it's like a
vocal from other
what's the Oasis song, Wonderwall over like In the Club by 50 Cent, you know? Definitely not those. But like certain mashups where it's like a certain beat or a certain things comes in from a different songs, or like a lead from a certain song, or a build up from certain songs with a drop from another one, you know, and just like try to be tasteful as much as possible and not, you know, make it tacky or make it as if like you're trying too hard.
Do you always blend music when you're mixing, or sometimes you do just transitions with some effects?
It all depends on the night, you know, and same with the edits. Certain nights require you to cut and make cuts, and there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you do it in a tasteful way and in a cool way, and not, you know, not do it all the time, because there's also skills in cutting, you know,
exactly,
like echoing out, because people will be like, oh, he's using echo, he doesn't know how to mix. But really, like, sometimes using the echo in the right way at the right time in the right song, and bringing in the other song at the right time is a skill. It's even harder than mixing, you know, because everyone can mix if the song is like same BPM, but like if you want to cut it, like you start knowing what time to cut, where's the verse, or like what specific word people know are gonna sing along, or you're gonna cut it at that point and bring in the next song. So it all depends on the night. It depends where you're playing, on the crowd, and just like on the vibe and the mood.
The echo effect is very interesting, because sometimes when you use a let's say quarter beat or 3/4 measurement, and then when you just drop the volume down, you have to keep the BPM running in your mind.
Course.
And then when you play the other song, it has to blend with whatever fraction of
of course.
And that's a skill. That's not easy to do.
Yeah, because sometimes the echo doesn't, you know, is not on point. You know, it's like certain echoes where you're like, you want to go half or 1/1, and you're like, damn, this doesn't work, and you have to like tap it and then fix it, and then know when to drop it and know when to cut. Because I've heard people like on the radio that would, you know, echo out in the middle of a verse, like, you know, it sounds wrong. You know, it's like you want to echo like at the end of a hook, like, you know, and then bring in the next song exactly where it's supposed to, give it enough breathing time. So it's like anything you do, it becomes like part of a technique. I remember JoJo was the first one that I saw use it, and back in the day, the mixers, like if you shut down the volume, the echo would shut down too. Yeah. So what he would do is he would use the line at the top and just like click it. And I remember we just do that, because he was the first one to teach me how to like stop the music at certain points of the song and really just know when to let people sing, and just like really play with people's heads instead of just going in and mixing and just like mixing straight line, knowing when to stop, knowing what song to drop, knowing to play a song for like 20 seconds, sometimes 10 seconds.
You play it fully, maybe.
It depends, exactly. So it's all about reading the crowds and understanding it and having all the techniques necessary. So it's not like, oh, I know how to beat match, or I know how to echo. You should know how to do it all, and just basically have a set of tools that, depending on the night, sometimes you expect one thing and then you show up and you're like, holy shit.
Depends on the situation, exactly. Yeah. You can use one out of the many things that you know already. It's like saving it in your bank.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times you go somewhere and you're expecting to play for like 20 minutes, and then you end up playing for like an hour. Let's say especially when you're opening for people and rappers or whatever, and they'd be like, okay, he's gonna go on at 11, but really it's like they never go on at 11, right? So he's like, you go there and you're like, I have 20 minutes, I'm gonna play every single song, and then you play every single song,
and then you have
and then they're like
30.
They're like 20 more minutes, and then you're like, I just played everything, you know? It's like, if you're not ready for that, that's gonna mess with you too. But that all comes with like experience and just like going through all those fuck ups to the point where it's like, okay, cool, if I have to go another 20, I'm ready. If I have to go less 20, I'm ready. You know, it's just like, make sure every minute that you use is like impactful, because they might cut you off. Sometimes that will happen. You know, it's like I was in one concert in Lebanon that only happens in Lebanon, and then there was like the power went off. You know, it was like a big concert and the power went off. And since the power went off, and it was like, oh, I was on stage, and it was like really embarrassing, and everyone was like, ooh, you know, I was like, what? I didn't do nothing, like nothing's on, you know. I was like, the power's off, and then I go in the back, and they're like, yeah, just like leave it and come down and whatever. And I was like, you know, and I was like, holy shit, like, and I was done, and everything I had prepared, I couldn't play. So you have to be ready for like all of that stuff. So you just go in hard from the beginning and end really hard, and just like keep it consistent.
So many info. And as I promised you guys, we have to take some questions maybe from your fans and from all the people who are with us. Let me go through some of the comments. Maybe we have Jad Mbarak, translation, hard work every day. Talk about Skybar, Tony Alvarez. Drubi Bilal, brilliant stuff always. Your friends. Who else? Go Basil, proud of you. That's Natalie Haddad. Ziad Asaf, there is a distortion in his audio, etc, etc, etc. So if you guys have some questions for DJ Bass, you can write them now in the comment box.
Yeah, someone was asking me too about production. They wanted us to do.
I don't know why I can't see all the comments now.
Yes,
miss you guys, etc. Rami Eid saying Overground. This is Rami you were talking about.
Yeah, Rami, you should check him out. He's on Spotify. He's on. And Rami, he's on. By the way, and Rami too. We're gonna be doing a lot of stuff,
nice.
A lot of stuff with them. But you should check out his stuff. Rami, yeah, he just had a new record, "Losing You," that's out, doing great.
We will.
And we're gonna have a lot of. We have a joint project that we're gonna be putting music out together soon, and hopefully next time we're here, we'll just do like a production setup, and we'll just maybe do something on the spot.
Yeah, sure, of course.
With all the equipment that you have here, it's a little.
We promised we will do some special editions of G.GOES Live, more technical stuff.
Yeah,
and you will also be my guest for sure.
For sure.
Guys, we stayed with you for 1 hour. That's the time of the show. So many things, really. I learned a lot from you, Basil, as well. You gave a lot of tips and tricks.
Thank you, man. And, we could talk about this for hours, but I mean, we have a limited show time.
Exactly, and you're traveling at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
a few hours from now.
You're
going to London.
I'm excited. I'm not excited for the airport. We need a better airport.
And then you're going back to LA in a few weeks.
Yeah. And then I have. I'm actually coming back here because I'm DJing at Skybar next weekend. I DJed at which is the new place. Same guys from Grand Factory, Jade, all those guys. They always do great work. Jade is kept it consistent. I used to DJ at the basement, so.
Long time ago.
Yeah, way back, and he's one of the few people that really kept it consistent in Lebanon, and just always coming with the best stuff and having the best night around town. Just having good taste and being open to everything. And I did Skin City on Saturday, which also the homies from Off and On and do all that. I've had some of the best nights in Beirut at Off and On, some of the best nights at Factory, some of the best nights at Reunion, and in Christmas when I come back, we're gonna have. Some big nights too, so that's usually when everyone's.
So you're always coming back and always going back also to LA. You're not just there and.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, this is my home at the end of the day. My family lives here, and there's so much potential in this country. There's so much talent. It's incredible. It's like when you get past all the bullshit and all the politics and all the superficial thoughts and discussions. There's really a lot of artists. There's really a lot of talent that's coming out of here. People that need to be helped. People that need to showcase their talent more and not be shy to go out there and be like, yo, this is what I do, because someone wants to listen to you. Someone's going to listen to you. And really, we're a super small country, but we've always took pride in our scene. People take pride in our party. They say Beirut's one of the greatest party cities. That's amazing, right? And
hopefully through your label as well.
No, it is, yeah. But we also need to export stuff to the world. We can't sit here and just wait for people to come visit us and be like, come here, let's, we're a party city. We have a few clubs. No, everyone has clubs. We need to show people that there's output coming out of here. It's like look at Sweden. They have some of the biggest DJs in the world. Look at Netherlands. Look at all that stuff. You don't have to be in LA to be the greatest. You don't have to be there's people coming out of everywhere, and the internet really opened the doors for everyone to have a voice. So make use of that, and let's really have output. Let's support local artists. Let's support each other, other DJs. It's barely 10, 20, 30 of us. We need to come together. We need to sit down. I was telling someone that also DJs in the hip hop genre, and I was like, yo, next time I'm here, we're gonna sit down and go over records, and share records with each other. Play what you're listening to, play me what it's there's nothing wrong with sharing, and it's not if I give you a song, you're gonna take it away from me, because it's all out there anyway, So we might as well sit here.
From you, it leaves some.
Yes, should be. We should all just push to make it better, because we all take pride in the party city. Let's make this, you know, it all works better with all of us combined. You know, there's certain people that have issues with other people. They have issues with me. I don't have not one issue with any single person in Lebanon, you know, because it's just doing good business and you know, wanting everyone to succeed. Because at the end of the day, when you go out there and you say I'm from Lebanon, you want people to have a good connotation about it. You know, we're not just ISIS, or we're not just Middle East. You know, it's like a whole scene. There's a scene out here. There's real dope DJs, real dope artists, singers, whatever. So we just all need to come together and really showcase that talent. Support your friend. Everyone likes to support celebrities. You know, support your friend, support your local artist, and post about them. You know, share their links. It's not gonna cost you any money. Share their links and let people know that this guy is making this kind of music. You know, maybe that can get him booked. Maybe that can get him, you know, heard somewhere. It's like
exactly
SoundCloud, it's like whatever it is, just like
share the love.
Yeah, share the love, exactly. Because it's like we're barely a few of us in this country, you know. And it's just like we go out there and everyone travels. Imagine like everyone that travels somewhere has something to say about like a local artist. Can you imagine how many
millions,
how many mouthpieces we have around the world? You know, from Europe to Africa, to the Middle East, to North America, South America. If we can have people and support them and just like really push it out there, I think we can make a lot of impact, because we're all over the world. You know?
Yep. Bass, thank you so
G-Mohris,
much
thank
for
you,
being
man.
here. It's always good to have you at
Per-vurt.
Per-vurt. What do you think of Per-vurt?
Dude, Per-vurt, I was here 10 years ago. 10 years ago.
10 years
Wow,
ago, yeah.
This is a 10-year anniversary. And you've always managed to keep it consistent. You know, it's the best pro audio and DJ store in the country. I've never seen anyone that has this much gear. And really, I don't see anyone in this country that's doing it on your level. I'm sure there's other people that are doing it, you know, and I would love to check them out. I just haven't had the time to do so. So I just encourage people to come here and check it out and really just be open to this culture. And we have an amazing party scene, but it all starts here. Like, all this partying is made by machines that look like this and people that really come and sit here and take their time. So come check it out. This should be a museum. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Bass. So guys, you can watch this episode in full HD starting maybe Saturday or Friday on my Facebook page. And next week I'll see you also. I might be solo, so if you have some questions, you can send them now. Until then, be safe, be good. We're sending you all the love from Per-vurt Studios. Salute.